Hey guys, thanks for joining the show. Tonight we remember 20 years ago, which is the year 2000. It's so weird to say.
14 years old.
20 years ago was the year 2000. Next on the Hyper Nerd's Revenge. We have no prominent dad life updates for this episode at the moment, so this is the first episode we're actually going to skip the dad life.
That means things are calm.
That means things are calm for now.
Or we're just going to pretend like it is.
Or yeah, there's nothing. Well, nothing major has happened.
Everything's okay.
In our dad life. So we're gonna go straight into the cool nostalgic stuff for us. And when I used to say 20 years ago, I used to think it was still the 80s. And then when we were in the 90s with the 70s, can you believe now when I say 20 years ago?
We're in the millennium.
We're in the new millennium. It's the year 2000 was 20 years ago, which still counts as our throwback segment. So here's the graphic for that.
I hate that it is a throwback. Oh, my soul hurts.
So I came across. So first of all, I talked about this on the last episode. I came across Timeline, which is a series from Weird History, which went through the 80s. Which the 80s now is 40 years ago.
Stop this nonsense, man.
So, Stop. I came across wanting to do this because the memes that my son showed me on TikTok, he said, 30 years ago now is the 90s. And I was like, ah! My heart.
You know what? I would just stone cold standard my son if I had one right there. Like, that's what you get. And poured beer. And I'm just kidding. I would never do that to a child. But I would stone cold stun one.
Oh my god. All right. So I came across this video by KH Jedi Master on YouTube. And this.
That's like, I mean, how does he not have.
There's a lot going on in that name too. This video was published 6 years ago on 2014. It's called Remember 2000, and he's got a bunch of stuff where it says Remember 91, 92, 93. We'll probably make a whole series out of this, reminiscing.
Oh, let's do that.
Well, I think we're gonna do that.
That'd be a great idea.
But we're gonna start with 2000 just because it's a nice round number. 20 years ago, there was a lot going on in the new millennium, and he. Legal person of age now was born the year 2000, 2001, 2002. Can you believe that? If any 18-year-old you run by right now was born in the new millennium, was not like out of the 90s. I don't know. I'm just thinking about that. Like, what?
I don't think we can finish this segment.
So what we're gonna do?
Really just. Oh gosh.
What we're going to do is we're going to run through that video, and we're going to just stop it every time we find something that jogs our memory of any personal memories of the year 2000. I mean, this is only a 16-minute video.
That's cool.
Won't go through everything. I've watched it previously. I know it's kind of good entertainment that Will hasn't done his homework today. So
I admitted to it, though. I'm the good student that failed in one.
Anyway, we're gonna go through the video. I took a hell of a lot of notes of stuff because everything in the video, for everyone that hasn't seen it yet, it's a kind of a mashup of everything that happened in the year 2000, set to 2000 music that came out in the 2000s, which is kind of perfect. So
awesome.
Audio wise, your memory's going to get jogged, and visually, your memory's going to get jogged. So anytime we come across something,
it's like graduation video, man.
I'm just going to stop. Yeah. So anyway, let's just get into it. This is Remembering 2000, and here we go.
Oh. Never felt so well.
Peanuts creator Charles Schulz has died as his final comic strip was being delivered to homes across America. Schulz died in his sleep Saturday night in his home.
Can we pause real quick? Can we pause real quick? Can we highlight the fact that that segment is a little bit sad, but can we highlight the fact that his last issue was being delivered to people's
As he
homes.
passed away, yeah, man.
And you know what I'm saying? So like anyone that's watching this video that is not, that lived through that time is wondering, what do you mean sent to people's homes? Newspapers, kids. You know those things that get thrown in front of your front door if they're on a
And
good day with their arm?
they go straight to the recycling bin. If
You know what I'm saying?
We just take out the coupons for shopping and put the rest in the recycling bin.
Some of my fondest memories from my childhood is
Just
going
reading
to
comic
diners
strips,
with my family and sitting down with my family reading newspapers and like asking like, "Hey, Dad, I got sports. You got comics? Let's trade." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I
You
mean,
don't do that no more.
no. Every Sunday too, though, that newspaper would be loaded. I would
My
immediately take out the comics and the sports section just to get.
And
That's how we got our sports updates before the cell phones. Was we looked at the back of the newspaper. We'd have a headline with it whether or not the Knicks won. And
your post.
Yeah. Well, I had the Daily News in. My dad was a Daily News guy, so
Interesting.
We got that. I remember too. We didn't get the paper delivered like we do now.
Oh, you picked up at the deli?
Yeah, we had a deli we had a corner deli.
Nice.
I walked up to the deli every morning, got the paper, and if we didn't,
that wasn't the cheapest way to get it,
right? And if it was the easiest way for me, and it was a way to get me out of the house too.
It's $52. You got it delivered. Just kidding.
Oh wow. Well, whatever, man. And then depending on what time of day, if my mom didn't make breakfast, which is rare, my mom always had breakfast. I would go there and get a butter roll, get the paper, bag of chips.
Well, that's a classic, dude.
And basketball cards.
Butter roll. What?
Yeah, basketball cards.
See, these things that kids don't know about no more.
Well, I think the funny thing is,
you forgot one thing that used to pull though.
Cards are coming up.
I guarantee you forgot one thing because
Good.
Oh no, they are. It's a renaissance. Yo, I think Target's having a problem with the theft.
Are they really? Because
from what I've been seeing,
every time I go to, like, there's nothing left, and I'm just like, wow,
it's cleaned out.
I've been waiting for like everyone to get back into like collecting stuff. I think it took a pandemic for people to get bored.
But you know what's also it's weird. It's hard to get one though. Like I went to my hobby store recently and I asked him like, I want to get into something. I want to start collecting something again.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about, asked him about, basketball cards and stuff. And it's like, he literally only had one thing of them. That's it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is hard to get or just like, it's just, they don't make them the way they used to.
Well, no, I think.
No, remember jams, dude?
Yeah.
Those jam cards?
Mm-hmm.
What?
You
paid buku.
Yo, so when we started collecting cards, I think they were more mass produced than they are now because they were
it's like comic books in the 90s.
Yeah, because they thought that, and like comic books too, they thought that those were going to be worth something later. Which a lot of cards, cards of the better players are
Jason Kidd rookie,
Grant Hill rookie, Penny Hardaway rookie.
One card I had as a rookie that I prized so much, but ended up being worth nothing because he kind of ended up being mediocre. Joe Smith rookie card, number one traffic. I loved the card. I thought it was going to be like the biggest thing because it was hard to get.
That draft too, you thought was a great draft until a lot of those players didn't really pan out. McDyess, you had Joe Smith number 1, McDyess number 2.
And they both.
McDyess had a decent career. Joe Smith had a mediocre career for being a number 1 pick. If you ask me, he was
more like a.
Yeah.
Can you even remember 2 more? You know what I'm saying?
I can, just not in the order. This is the thing, man. Like I used to know at least the top 10 picks from each draft from 1993 to at least 1999. And I'm disappointed in myself now that I can't actually remember.
Every kid that you have, you loses about 5 draft picks from your brain.
Yeah. I remember what happened in every like the draft picks. I remember every All Star game, every slam dunk contest, every 3-point contest. But if you ask me now, I'm just like,
You know, did you used to? My big thing was looking at like standings, right, and looking at like
mm-hmm,
statistics.
mm-hmm.
That was that was my jam. So after like I read the headlines, I read the article, I wouldn't read it if they lost
Yeah,
because I didn't want to relive it because I watched it the night before.
yeah. Unless it was a team like the like the Bulls or and we're
And
talking
the
about
pictures, bro,
yeah, we're all just
photos.
yeah, and it. Can
You
you
know,
do you remember that it was black and white up until like the late '90s?
yo,
Then it
but
just started
that
going.
was when the Knicks changed their
Yeah,
uniforms
yeah,
too.
yeah,
So it was so dope.
yeah. And I used to take newspaper clippings and hang them in my locker
Yo, me too.
of especially
Like
when
posters.
there was a series in '97, which was a year we were supposed to challenge the Bulls. But the fight with Charlie Ward and PJ Brown happened. But the series before that, they played the Hornets, which was a nice matchup because
Oh, it's a fun one.
Larry Johnson versus Anthony Mason, they had just gotten traded for each other that year. Or,
Yeah,
free agency happened and they ended up being on the opposite team or something, sign and trade. I forget what the details were, but
it was a sign trade.
yeah. And then that happened and the Knicks swept the Hornets. And I remember game 1 or game 2, it was just a 3-point barrage by Allen Houston and John Starks.
My boy.
I was so, and then they in the paper they had 2 side-by-side shots of them shooting. That
so
that
awesome.
was in my locker for sophomore year.
I wish you would have kept it, bro.
For the rest of that summer. Yeah, man. I wish I kept a lot of newspaper clippings I left in my locker.
There was one clipping that I had that I wish I kept where they the Knicks had just introduced those new like late '90s uniforms with the longer piping with the black
Yeah.
and they had basically like an article to kind of like highlight the why all the different things about it and what made it look so cool. And I was like, yo, this is dope.
Yeah.
So I kept that article for so long, but I have no idea where it is now.
So again, that's I think if we're going back to Knicks lore real quick, that's probably my favorite '90s uniform. I wish they really never got into because in 2000 is when they last wore those. In 2001, they went to the smaller piping on the side.
They went more standard of the league at that point. That's what happened.
Yeah, and I like the current uniforms now, where it's a clean look. But if they went back to the '90s with the panel on the side for like their throwback uniform for next year, I wouldn't be mad.
Oh please!
I wish they would.
Can they be just as baggy too?
Oh god!
Yo, you ever see
it would have to be
wearing it?
I think
he's like swimming. Ewing is swimming in it.
No, you know who's swimming in those shorts was Chris Childs.
Yo, because the numbers like here.
Yeah,
the push-ups are here.
Yeah. I recently got. I don't know if you know. I got a Sprewell version of the home jersey.
Oh, that's awesome.
I got it over the summer. So one thing thing that this pandemic has done is reinvigorate my addiction to eBay. So I've gotten a bunch of different jerseys off of eBay over the summer. One of them was the Sprewell jersey, but like the difference now on me on eBay now and me and eBay before I would just buy. Now I really negotiate. If that make offer button is there, I put I'll ask for a lower. I won't lowball anybody, but I'll ask for something that I think is more the range, and it's worked.
The art of Fran.
People take it, huh?
The art of Fran.
Can you? Yeah, that's a big influence from my wife too. Is trying to negotiate price. I never did any of that. So Fran's good at negotiating and knowing when to return something. That's something I never did before I got married. That's
impressive.
I would never return anything, even though it was something that I knew I wouldn't use for a while. I would never return it just in case something happens where I would come up with.
Which you never ever end up just in case.
Yeah. You never do that. And she's good at just I need to return this, return that, return that. And I was like, why? Because I'm not going to use it. And she's right.
It's an Asian wife mentality. My wife is the exact same way, man. Yo, her and I've never returned. I'm not joking, babe. If you ever watch this, which I don't think you ever will, but if you ever watch this, I have never returned more stuff in my lifetime.
I've returned more stuff and negotiated for more prices within the last almost 12 years that I've been married than my total almost 39 years of existence. I've never,
Straight up.
yeah, that's one of the big things I've learned from
Like
my
if I'm
wife
not returning
is
something every
value.
other week, I feel like something's wrong.
Yeah.
I'm so, like this weekend, we have to go to Macy's and return something.
You like everything? What? All right, let's bowl through the rest of this. I don't know what's on the screen right now. Do you know this cartoon?
I don't know what that one.
Okay. This movie,
Love and Basketball.
Love and Basketball,
Classic.
was, I think, was the last great basketball movie I can remember. So I was looking for a basketball movie for X to watch, and I was looking through like kind of a family basketball movie, and I couldn't find anything. And
Really? Coach Carter or anything? No?
no, so I'm talking about more like a Mighty Ducks type
Oh,
jam.
Little Giants.
For them, Little Giants, he's seen, he loves it.
I love
Mighty
that movie.
Ducks, he loves, but I couldn't find a good kids basketball movie. There's some stuff on the Disney Channel, but it's not. Just from the titles alone, I wouldn't subject him to any of that. Because
Teen Wolf could be I think a seasonal TV show, by the way. Anyway,
Yeah.
keep going.
yeah. So back to anyway, yeah. So I think there's an opportunity there for a basketball version of Mighty Ducks or something. So my movie idea that I would want to do if we had the time and we had the money would be Mighty Ducks, a crossover between Mighty Ducks and White Men Can't Jump. Just that kind of like I would
think of those
I would
kind of hybrids.
I would totally make that movie. So if I ever come into some money, that's one of the movies I would make. Just because there's nothing like that out there.
Gosh.
The basketball movie that kids like to watch all the time, obviously, is going to be Space Jam. And
I used to love watching Space Jam, and it was because of the Jordans that he was wearing.
yeah, well, I like Space Jam.
What are those?
Yeah. Yeah. I like Space Jam because of it's obviously because it's Jordan, and even though the acting is pretty terrible in there, but Jordan Bucks Bunny, it was a fun movie, and it was like I knew not to take it seriously, but it was a fun movie. The kids love it. The kids love watching Space Jam. They'll watch it in the car, whenever it's on, it'll stay on the TV. So anyway,
you're so lucky, man. You get to raise your daughter like with the nerdy stuff. My wife won't let me.
Oh, sorry. Well,
like I keep trying to like, hey Ariel, hey, you want to play with this Wonder Woman thing? And my wife always goes, no, you don't. No, you don't.
Well, I think Fran is the same. It's just happening through osmosis now because,
yes,
me and X talk about it, and she wants, and Elise wants to be included all the time. So we include her as best we can, and then she'll get into it. Anyway, Love and Basketball I think was the last great basketball themed movie that was made well. Because I remember the last one that I saw of that era was crossover with Nick. I think Nick Cannon was in that, and like Hot Sauce, and I was just like, ah. But I think I like the love story in Love and Basketball. Obviously, I could relate to it.
No injury.
I can relate. Yeah, I can relate to. Well, I can relate to a lot of aspects of that movie. The love story part, coming up, playing basketball in high school, and just like that environment, I guess, of high school athletics, and then going into college sports. It's something I can relate to, as well as being in the relationship with someone else that loves basketball. But yeah, that's the last movie that I think. I think it's the last great basketball movie the last 20 years. I might be totally missing something. I'm not sure. Like, what other one has come out a good basketball movie in the last 20 years? Coach Carter, fine.
I'll give
you that.
That was, dang it.
Sorry.
Yeah, to me, Coach Carter is the first thing that comes up. That's the only thing that came up. But to me, if you're gonna, I think it's better. It's reshape it into the biggest pop cultural impact.
Yeah, I think you're
definitely
right. Yeah.
Love basketball.
Yeah. Let's keep going on this one. Obviously, Destiny's Child is on there. This is when they were on the come up.
This is when they're blowing up.
Yeah, this is when they were blowing up.
Like they're about to hit their peak.
What's up?
I've never felt more old than I do right now. I'm not even being sarcastic. I never felt more old.
I'm sorry.
Like my chest hurts.
Hey, this is great. Like this is a good. Whoever's watching too, this would be a good reminiscing for you for the last.
Join us in this.
Join us, revel with
masochistic torture.
Yes. What's up?
I never got into Malcolm in the Middle.
I never got to Malcolm in the Middle either. I think it was
my thing.
Yeah.
I did that already with Married with Children. Kind of like the white trash idea kind of mentality. TV show.
One thing that
Not
came
white,
out.
You know what I'm saying?
One thing that came out of the Malcolm in the Middle though was Bryan Cranston.
Oh, true.
It was a good. Have you seen that mashup where Breaking Bad was like a fever dream of the father from Malcolm in the Middle? I thought that was hilarious.
I loved that. I wish he would do like some like SNL like skit for that.
I thought that was hilarious. Yeah. Okay. What's on the screen now too is a movie I actually owned, was The Whole Nine Yards, which is pretty good. Bruce Willis and Matthew Perry. The PlayStation combo pack $199 with one controller. That's the first time ever I remember buying that, and I was like, one controller. It says I had to buy another controller. The Nintendo came with two.
Now $299 is considered like a deal.
$199 it's on sale basically.
$199. Yo, we need to get that now.
Yeah.
When it's PS5 now?
We're about to be on PS5. PS2 was
already launched, right?
Did it launch?
It launched already, I think.
Okay, you're probably right, but we're on PS5 for this year. For the holiday.
Oh my god, dude, we were literally the generation that ushered this technology in. You know what I'm saying? We're the ones that had our hands on it, and like was the age group that soaked it all up. Our kids are getting like literally our projects. You know what I'm saying? Like they used us to get these things going.
We were the guinea pigs. This was the first slot loading too, I think.
Yes, yeah, because the PS1 was PSX was a push button and the lid opened up like a waffle maker.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Who sings that?
I don't.
I'm crazy for this girl. This is gonna bother me.
Do your thing, bro. I'm adding "Girl on TV" and "Summer Girls" to my playlist.
Bro, those are both like summer songs too.
Oh.
Evan and Jaron. See, I would have never gotten that.
I don't even know that.
American pop rock duo Evan and Jaron released.
Talk about one-hit wonders, bro.
Yeah.
I hate you.
You know why? And this is something that I was gonna bring up later, but this is a Dawson's Creek song. this was on Dawson's Creek in 2000.
Oh, I don't remember that being there.
Yeah, this is on one of the episodes of Dawson's Creek, and which is again, that's a show that I did watch. I caught it late.
I have no shame. I have no shame
admitting that too. Like Dawson's Creek was
a banging show. Okay,
show. Yeah,
the right amount of drama, right amount of romance, but not too gross.
You sound like Trump right now, bro.
Maybe.
Don't do that again.
Can we just? I can't. I didn't even know I did it.
Don't do that again.
Okay, good.
But yeah, this was a Dawson's Creek, and I had posted earlier this week. I don't know if anybody caught this, but I was up late. I think I was actually developing what we were going to talk about today, and then I just couldn't go to sleep. And Dawson's Creek was on. Like Dawson's Creek is on Hulu, and it has all 5 seasons. And there's specific episodes of Dawson's Creek that I always gravitate to.
It's only 5.
Yeah, it's only 5. It was from 98 to 2003, and I caught it. I didn't watch season 1, 2, and 3 live. I and some of my friends in high school too were in it, always talking about it too, and I always thought they were kind of, just you guys are dorks for watching Dawson's Creek. Anyway,
it was a girl show.
Yeah, it's like it was right
Who
up our
can
alley.
say it?
It's right up our alley though. But when I got to college, there was a semester where I had a lot of downtime in between classes. So I'd go home and come back. It's like it was weird because I had a weird schedule like in like 2001 to 2002. So I'd have a class in the morning, and I wouldn't have another class till 3. So I had a big gap in between. So I'd go back home and veg out for a little bit, do my homework and veg out for a little bit. And Dawson's Creek was on TBS back to back. It was like one of those back to back morning hours for TBS.
Yep.
And I would catch up that way, and then I would get into it, and then I would start watching the show.
That was binge watching back then.
Yeah, that was binge watching back then. You had to wait.
Can kids? That is where binge watching started. When you get back episodes, and if you're lucky, 2-hour segments.
Yes, you're correct.
And you could just watch 4 episodes or 2 long episodes.
You're correct. And then
that was binge watching, kids.
And I'd wait for the current episode for that week every night. But
you never knew which one was new.
Who knew a song by Evan and Jaron, who I've never known who sang the song, would lead to a nostalgic run through Dawson's Creek? But that's why we're doing this right now. Let's keep going. Chili Peppers, Californication. You need to tell me who sings that right now, because I can't. It's been on the tip of my tongue.
Fleetwood Mac?
And I used to listen to this song all the time. Who?
Fleetwood Mac? I don't know. I think I'm wrong.
No, because they had another song that I loved.
Go do your Shazam thing.
Third Eye Blind. That's who it is.
Yeah, you're right.
Thank you. I can go to sleep now.
My daughter stopped her photo rotation on a party I threw in my mid-20s. Look at all this alcohol.
Oh my God, dude. The only alcohol we have now is alcohol wipes.
Yo, for real.
I'm gonna keep this going.
Best soundtrack ever.
And I had a huge crush on Aaliyah.
So can I tell you a story about Aaliyah? I think everybody had a crush on her. I wish. So back in those days when that song apparently was 2000. That was like my prime martial arts days, right? So that was when kids were doing varsity sports after school. I was going to my kung fu school, fighting and doing forms and swinging swords around. So anyway, Aaliyah was huge back then. She was a big focal point in my life because we listened to her music while we were training and practicing. And so her music got me through some really tough sessions, bro.
Yeah.
Really tough.
Yeah.
And so, that year we flew to Austria, fully sponsored, all paid for, representing Team USA. When that used to mean something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said it.
We'll find out in a couple of weeks, bro.
Please, just fast forward.
You vote? I voted already.
Already. Yeah.
Okay.
Already. Sent in the ballot and everything. So we're in Austria. We just, our Team USA just rocked, dude. We had so much hardware. We're bringing it home. And then we saw something on the news that Aaliyah died. And she was it was through a plane crash. And we were about to fly the next day. I was like, stop this nonsense.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Heartbroken, bro.
I was at work. This was one of my first jobs at the Renaissance Hotel in the Meadowlands, and I was working with my best friend Jeff Almignana, and I came in that day, and everything was fine. We found out Aaliyah died. I couldn't function for the rest of the day, because I was like, I think she at that time was my biggest celebrity crush, and
she did a movie with Jet Li, so she was immortalized in my brain, bro.
It wasn't even it was Nutty Professor got me into her, and then I went back and
right, I forgot about that.
Yeah, the Are You That Somebody was a great song. and
Try again.
It's
got me through so many tough workouts, man.
Yeah. Anyway, Romeo Must Die was, if you think about it, 20 years ago, there wasn't too much Asian representation in a mainstream movie.
Speak the truth.
And for Jet Li to be in a mainstream American movie that was, that wasn't like that wasn't a Chinese import, because the first thing that you saw in my childhood was Rumble in the Bronx.
Yes.
But that was imported earlier from an earlier movie. Like that wasn't filmed in the United States. It was.
No, I don't think it was. They tried to pretend like it was.
It wasn't produced in the United. Yeah, and it wasn't produced in the United States. This
like
one
Sweden.
Was.
This stays New York City.
Yeah, this one was.
Sorry,
and then you had a lot of great Asian actors in that movie. They had Jet Li. You had Russell Wong, who was big. Do you remember Forbidden? I don't know if it's Forbidden Son or.
He did his TV show with the Noxzema girl.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That was my biggest crush, because my cousin like
Rebecca
my
Gayheart,
cousin was really into her products. My cousin was really into her products because she was a teenager at that time. Whatever. So when her Noxzema commercials came on, my cousin like turned it up and everything. I was like, yes. She was the most beautiful woman to me.
Anthony Anderson made one of his movie debuts in that one. Remember, he was
Gimmicks.
And he was one of the more racist characters in there. He said, he was calling Jet Li, "Hey, rice noodle," and all this stuff.
Oh yeah, he was like super racist thing.
Dim sum, and I was like, God,
I can't wait till you throw him out this window.
I wish you get your ass kicked. Anyway, for all that though, it's kind of a mediocre movie. Looking back at it now, but it was.
But it holds up.
For the time. It holds up for the time.
For entertainment value.
Yes, it's a good representation of the time. Anyway, let's move on.
Oh, well put.
Not Dora, but that quick clip of Jessica Alba was from Dark Angel, and I think that's when everybody started falling in love with Jessica Alba, me included.
Have you watched a new cop show?
I have not. The one with her and Gabrielle Union. No, I haven't.
I kind of want to.
Is that bad? I do too. I do too. But there's better stuff on TV right now, or there's better stuff.
But that's the point. We both know it's going to be garbage, but we still want to. It's something draws you to it.
Yeah, but anyway, so I mentioned several times on this show that Phoebe Cates was my childhood crush as a kid growing up.
Kristen
Crook. She to me was the next kind of evolution of that Phoebe Cates type girl.
Oh, interesting.
So, Kristen Crook too. You can put in that.
I think so too. Is that the classic beauty type of look?
Yeah, and that was a kind of that was the those were my standards. I think back in the day, you had Phoebe Cates, Jessica Alba, Kristen Crook.
I was all over the map though. Like I thought the girl from Scott Pilgrim. I think her name is Alison Wong. If you look at her, pictures of her when she's not like a dorky looking little girl, she's actually, to me, she was beautiful. I was like, dang, I want a girl like that.
Let's move on before our wives catch wind of this. This song was a big song.
You remind me of West Side Story.
So, do you know the lick that he plays on the guitar?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The one that goes. Do you know what that's from?
You're about to blow my mind by
Tiger Style.
No.
Tiger Style. That's Wu-Tang, man.
Really?
Yeah, that's a Wu-Tang lick. And that's not the first time I heard him play that.
Stop messing up my music, man.
He played it during one of the VMAs during at a different. I don't know. It might have been the same song, but I could have sworn he played it. He played that lick earlier during one of the VMAs for a different song.
How does he get away with it?
I could be wrong. Well, it sounds so dope, though. I can't, like...
It sounds amazing.
Those was also one of the songs that was deep in my rotation for that year.
If
Just because of that guitar
Spotify was
lick.
around, it's one of those songs that they highlight for you at the end of the year.
Spotify, what? So remember, 2000. There was no iTunes yet.
CDs,
There was no
still
iTunes yet.
CDs.
Yep, it was still. The iPod didn't come out till next year. Oh, I can't wait to get.
Oh, what?
I can't wait to
Oh,
get
that's
to
right.
2001 and on. But
My high school friend, who's still my friend now, went to his wedding. Had the first generation iPod. Oh no, second generation, the one with the buttons on top, but lit up in the background.
You know who had that? That was supposed to be on that the show tonight. Ace
I think he's night night, as my daughter would say.
Asleep. That's partially my fault though. I think because if I think we were on,
It is your fault. You're lucky you have work to do. I would have gone to sleep.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, I dropped the ball in dad life. I put my son to sleep, overslept about 30 minutes, and I think Ace went to sleep. So
I'm here like texting, hey, can I get the link? Hey, can I get the link? I'm like, and I'm the one feeling bad because I took me a little bit longer to get my daughter down.
It's fine. It was my bad. Anyway, let's move on. AJ and Free from BET debuted in 2000, and that guy has a Spreewell jersey on.
Freestyle Fridays literally defined my high school life, bro.
Jin,
my boy Jin and Poster Boy. Let's go.
Oh, brother. Okay, moving on.
Oh, let's go.
Bring It On was 20 years ago.
Stop. No, I just got sad. Got really happy for a second, and then I got really sad.
Why?
Because then I realized 20 years ago. Again, I had a big crush on Eliza Dushku.
That got me. That's another crush I had. Not as much as
from Buffy, right? From Buffy.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
No, but this is the movie that made me had a crush on her. But
no, when she was Faith in Buffy, bro.
I have a story about this though. So why do
you have a story about
that? That's a great segue to what I'm about to say. Why do I have a Bring It On story? It's not an exciting story, but it's a funny story. There was. So let me ask you this real quick. Have you ever watched Bring It On in its entirety?
At least 3 times.
At least 3 times, right? When did you watch it?
I don't think the first time was in theater. I think it was on DVD. And
which is the normal answer for most men, correct?
I think so. No?
I saw this movie in the theater, and it wasn't on a date. Me and my cousin were bored one day, and we wanted to go see a movie. But we had seen everything, I think, and then it was like, "Do you want to go out and Bring It On?" And I was like, "Okay."
Are you ashamed while you were walking into the theater?
Bro, we were in the theater with a bunch of teenage girls and cheerleaders and whatever, and we were just so fun. We didn't have the wherewithal to leave because obviously we had already paid for the tickets and popcorn.
You just stuck into the theater.
Bro, we weren't. I don't know why we didn't. But me and my cousin, I'm not going to mention my cousin's name because I don't want to embarrass him. But even when I mentioned this to Fran, she's just like, "You saw Bring It On a theater and you weren't on a date."
It's ironic. We didn't prep this segment.
No,
I promise you, we didn't prep this segment. No. So when he asked me, "What was the first time you watched it?" and I said, "I don't think I watched it in theater." I didn't know what his story was going to be. You should be embarrassed.
I'm gonna move on. I'll admit this was a funny movie. This hasn't aged well, this movie at all. But
I have this is one track in that movie that I actually have in my iTunes. You're just what I need.
Okay, oh my god.
That pop punk, you know what I'm saying? That pop punk was everywhere in 2000, and I love all of it.
Oh, jeez. Anyway. NSYNC's God, I had it written down. NSYNC's album. This was their bigger album of their careers. It came
Yep,
out
that
this
makes sense.
year.
Yep.
I don't know why I can't think of the name of the album.
I'd be a little more disturbed if you did know it.
No strings attached. So can I tell you something? So in retrospect, I listened to a lot of different types of music that a lot of people I knew. Like I think even though I don't claim to be this music buff. I'm more of a movie buff, obviously. I don't claim to be this music buff, but I listened to a lot of different types of music back then.
Same.
Like I wasn't adverse to listening to NSYNC or Backstreet Boys. I think at this point in time,
Techno.
I listen to techno a lot. But even though, like, if I hear this song now and it's on the radio, I'll leave it on.
Oh heck yeah!
Yeah,
heck yeah!
Kids
don't know, man.
This is the No Strings Attached album, and then 2000 also. You will see it probably later in the video, but Backstreet Boys Millennium came out. There was a lot of good hits from that one.
That was like they were like neck and neck in the billboards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This image that you're looking at right now, remember in 2000 was the Sydney Olympics?
Is this Sydney? Oh yeah,
Sydney Olympics.
I was an Olympics kind of guy. Pause that. Come on, we got to talk about that.
First X-Men movie, which was revolutionary for that time.
I believe this is the first superhero movie after Blade.
Yes. I'm glad you said Blade.
Mm-hmm. After Blade.
We're gonna get to Blade another time, but yes, this was
I
the first
do
superhero
include
movie after Blade.
That I believe he's before Spider-Man also, the Tobey Maguire version. So this movie, for us like you and me, right, to see like, because let's be real, we didn't read the comic book Blade when we were kids.
I did.
Did you? I didn't read one issue. Didn't know anything about it until the movie came out.
I did. I watched I read the comic book. This is all again due to my older cousins.
I read the Punisher, but not Blade.
But not. Oh, okay, Blade. I talked about X-Men. X-Men I read. Blade I didn't read. Obviously.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We didn't read Blade. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like a mainstream hero until Fox owned Blade, Fox owned X-Men, or owned X-Men. But so seeing X-Men, and that was one of the things I loved. I loved X-Men because the cartoons, because the comic books. Seeing it in real life, Patrick Stewart no longer was Captain Kirk.
Yeah,
he was Professor Xavier.
Yep.
I see my childhood superhero, like my favorite X-Men, Cyclops, come to life, and seeing the optic blast, game changer, bro.
Yeah. Although I still think Halle Berry, this should have been Angela Bassett all the way for Storm.
The one that they did cast her was Logan, though.
Yes.
The character, 20 years he played the character, man.
And he wasn't the first choice. Do you know that?
That's crazy. That's right. You're right.
He wasn't the first choice for Logan. It was Dougray Scott, who ended up being in Mission Impossible 2 of the same year. Yeah, obviously. Choice. And you guys don't know who the heck I just mentioned. So there you go.
Glorious hair. I love these movies, man. I mean, I love that movie.
This basically kicked off the first wave of superhero movies. Because after this, 2002, Spider-Man came out.
That was the beginning of the Renaissance.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk, stop! I want to try to F on you so bad right now. I'm so mad at you.
Tony Hawk.
I spent countless hours. This is okay. Kids, you didn't have marathon gaming until you start playing Tony Hawk.
I know, man. Like, it's
late. I'm talking about late, bro.
And a skateboarding game isn't something I'm usually playing, but when you
Tony
played
Hawk,
Tony Hawk, you would be there for hours until you would
just trying to get that one trick, trying to ride that rail as long as you could. That game changed my life, man. That SSX tricky.
I'm gonna keep moving. So, I was wondering what Scream that was because I was a big Scream movie, and it's a quick clip that you just saw. It was Scream 3. Scream 3 came out in 2000 and kind of flipped that whole series on its head, and it doesn't. I don't think Scream gets mentioned in like the whole trilogy, not counting 4. 4 was okay. that whole initial trilogy doesn't get enough mention, I think, for a horror, like a good horror movie trilogy or series. Maybe because of 4, but
Yeah.
Scream 3 for me was a great ending to that trilogy because it had it followed all the tropes, but it also had a nice closure. It was one of the series that actually had a nice closure to it.
Yeah.
At the time, and I thought it
Yeah.
was a good way to end it. So, just a quick mention on Scream 3. If you have you seen, I know
2.
you've seen
First.
first 2. 3 is a good closure one if you actually want to get closure to the series and ignore 4. But
I had a hard time with getting into the characters, man. I was like, eh.
So there's another. It's because it was one of those things where if you saw Scream after watching other 2000s horror movies,
Oh,
because Scream is the one that kicked off the genre of being self-aware in horror movies.
interesting.
If you watch other movies after and didn't watch Scream yet, you're not gonna think. And I know this effect because it's happened to me before. Like if you watched any other type of horror movie, if you watch I Know What You Did Last Summer, if you watch
Wow, I forgot about that one.
any other self-aware horror movie
Yeah.
before you watch the original one, Scream's not going to seem like much.
Yeah, I agree.
Which it's kind of sucks that that's the way that works. But
I hated the genre that I created, though.
That's why.
I
That's
hated
why
it.
because it was the first of its kind, more or less, first of its kind. Unfortunately, yeah. But unless you count Wes Craven's New Nightmare, because that's another self-aware horror movie that came out before Scream. But if you watch any of those self-aware horror movies after and didn't watch Scream yet, you're not gonna enjoy it as much as you were supposed to.
That's actually a really cool call out. I didn't think of that because 2000 was just it was a poop show of horror movies. Like there's some real garbage.
The original Scream came out in '95, and it was quote unquote revolutionary for horror movies. And then for the next 5 years, I think even all the way up until like the early 2000s, they were all the same with a different type of a slight twist to it.
What they do with Jason, during that time,
well, they didn't do much.
No, they murdered. I mean, they like went over the top, like too gimmicky. I mean, like what they do with Batman, it did to Jason. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, so I would agree to a certain point. So I was telling Fran this, and funny enough, Fran and I, like over the weekend, decided to watch some old horror movies. Like I started off with Jason Lives, which was Friday 13th Part 6, and she was like, "No, I want to watch actually something scary, not something like comedic horror." Which was the first. It's funny.
Yes.
It's funny that you recognize that because Jason Lives. Friday 13th Part 6 was the first time they tried incorporating humor into it.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's still one of my favorites. So I like it from that point. Horror. But then we went into Halloween, and that was the original Halloween from 1978, and then
classic.
It was still genuinely
classic.
Had some scares in it. Where's I going with that? Yeah, Jason the de-evolution, I guess, of Jason, because started with 6. If you don't like comedy and horror together, that's the de-evolution.
They don't belong. It's
However,
hard.
7 was good. It had less comedy than 6, but then you got into Part 8, and it was just like.
That one with Busta Rhymes, man. I'm like, what are you doing? Like not because of Busta Rhymes being in the movie, but like I'm just referencing the fact that that's the movie I'm trying to.
You're talking about Halloween, yeah. You're talking about Halloween Resurrection, yeah.
Oh, is that Halloween?
Yeah.
Why do I think it's Jason? Wait, Jason is Halloween.
Michael Myers.
No, Michael Myers. Why am I thinking of Jason's Michael Myers?
You're losing your shit cred right now.
There we go. Because I remember
what they did with Michael Myers is I'm glad it went back to its roots in 2018. But
what did they do with? It was talking about Jason where his like face mask was like mad.
His face? That was 1993.
No, like his face was like I don't remember how to describe it, but like maybe it was melted. I don't know.
Yeah, when the face mask was melted onto, you're asking the horror movie buff. So
That's
I'm gonna.
93.
That was 93. Final Friday came out. 93, 94. I'm pretty sure it's 93.
Why do I feel like it's in 2000? Oh my god.
2000 was Jason X, or isn't it 2000 Jason X?
Was that the one where
Jason
his
in
mask
space.
was like almost like chiseled? Like
Yeah,
it's like
it was a cybernetic mask.
oh, done. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Okay, you've never seen the movie, obviously. You just seen the parts, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't actually watch the movie, but like, why are you doing that to a
Yeah.
cultural icon like Jason?
So,
Uh,
for just to sum it up real quick, he starts off with the classic Jason. He's cryogenically frozen, and the kids in the future unfreeze him, and he wreaks terror on this spaceship.
I'm so done.
And then
Why is Mike Myers just dead body on a spaceship?
Jason?
What did I say? Oh shoot! It's Mike Myers.
Anybody that's watching you're
It's also almost 2 a.m. By the way,
you're losing your street cred.
it's almost 2 a.m.
Gotcha.
Just putting that out there.
Anyway,
I didn't get to take a siesta.
let me finish real quick though. So, it's the regular Jason. There's a cyborg. This is how absurd Jason X was.
I'm so annoyed.
There's a cyborg on the ship. A female cyborg on the ship that blows Jason up, but where they store his body is in the same place as like these nanobots that reconstruct Jason as like a cyber Uber Jason, and that's when he really starts wreaking havoc, and that's all you need to know about this movie.
I'm just mad that you spent 30 seconds describing the synopsis.
Entertaining, but again, not okay. Let's move on. Kylie Minogue again. Hey.
That's 2000.
This is 2000. They debuted, I think, a little bit the year before, but this was a cultural commercial that I think every
person in America was
doing this. Yep.
White, black, Asian, Hispanic. We all said it.
I might resurrect this though for the Tito M cartoon. We'll see.
Can we? Yo! I just got the dopest T-shirt idea. What's that in the Double Dare logo?
Oh my god!
I'm just saying.
We'll see.
I'm just saying.
I might bring this back. Actually, maybe we'll do this for the next intro. Yo,
what's that? If we had Ace on, it'd be even funnier because with 3 people, it's like.
Can you imagine?
Yo, can we do like a segment where we do that where we get you, me, Ace, and Jay?
I'd really try to get Jay on for the show this
week. A quick one. Like we can do it at any time. Like it doesn't have to be like during one of these things. We can get it in later.
Done.
I'm just saying.
I'll make it happen. All right, let's move on. This freaking song.
Nelly.
This was the song, I think, of the 2000s. This is on, at least for the summer of 2000.
Nelly.
This was bumping in everybody's car in the club. When it came on, everybody was getting
during this time, he released a song that still is being played. I think, I don't know because I haven't been in one in a long time. That are still being played in clubs right now. If they were a thing, because there wasn't a pandemic.
I actually bumped this earlier today, and so because I was picking up food for Fran and the kids, and I just happened to put it on, and it's funny that this came on now.
Before the kids were in the car.
Okay. Yeah. Speaking of, wait till we get there. Speaking of basketball movies, that wasn't really a basketball movie. Finding Forrester was also. I put Finding Forrester on that list of good.
Oh yes,
movies. That was a great basketball movie.
Basketball movies aren't basketball movies. Very nicely said.
Yeah. And now we can get into Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Other than Street Fighter Mortal Kombat, this was the big game that I played in the arcade. The gameplay was just so totally different.
Street Fighter 2 was my introduction into, I don't say big box, but cabinet gaming, right? Played in the theater. Every time I went to the theater in Spring Valley, I was like, Street Fighter. And then my first introduction to Marvel vs. Capcom 2, again, because that's how you learn about games. If they weren't on consoles yet,
Yeah.
you can just buy it on console.
Mhm.
So it's like, oh, well, I can't get this on my thing. And so I saw it at, I think, a bowling alley. I didn't bowl at all that day. I'm being real.
Bro, I was the only one too. Like, I'd bowl for a little bit, and then I'd go right to the arcade.
Iceman. And Iceman was always one of my favorite. And so I got to pee him.
Ice Beam.
I don't care if he sucked. I picked him.
I was an Iceman regular until I picked Wolverine.
Iceman, Cable, and Gambit.
Yeah, I was Iceman and Wolverine my main. Wolverine though, just because you heard him say stuff he wouldn't normally say.
Super Barrage.
Super Barrage. Drill Claw.
Oh, that was a good one. Needed Drill Claw really good.
Yeah. All right. Boston Public is
game.
what we're looking at right now. American Psycho.
Such a great movie.
Aaron Carter. This was a great movie. I can't believe this movie's 20 years old. This had a really big impact on me.
Remember the Titans?
It's my
I love this movie. I watched it. Jackie Chan cartoon.
So, if you were tired of Ninja Turtles at this point, Jackie Chan Adventures actually filled in that gap.
You know what I'm surprised about? That it sold enough toys to merit multiple seasons. Because Jackie, kids don't buy Chinese, Chinese-based superheroes. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Chinese-based toys. And so it's surprising that it made enough money in toy revenue.
That's a good point.
To continue to make more episodes.
It's also Jackie Chan too. Like if
he was going to bankroll that completely.
That's
true. To keep it going.
Yeah, but
that merch stuff.
Do you remember when Ninja Turtles first came out and they were actually fighting, and then towards the later seasons they were just like it was a slapstick type job? Jackie Chan was actually a good mix of both, and the animation of the fighting was something that I gravitated towards, which I liked.
It's like Jackie Chan's brain, but animated, where there's no boundaries. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Like
he's swinging around fish in the intro.
You're correct. The replacements. Real back to the NSYNC thing real quick though. Have you ever watched those behind the scenes things on MTV when MTV was good? Mm-hmm. And they showed how they made that them in the box that was rotating. It was an actual box that was rotating. It wasn't green screen. They constructed a hydraulic box for them to be inside of. And
how many millions does this album sell? Like that, you must be really confident of this album.
They were the next to the Backstreet Boys. They were
That's
the biggest boy band in the world.
That's not cheap.
Well, music videos used to cost a lot back then. Making the video, that's what it's called. Making the video was the documentary for
right.
When they did music videos, they used to have behind the scenes stuff. I used to love watching those things because
that Janet Jackson one was crazy. The one when she did the collab with her brother. No, with Michael Jackson.
Oh, Scream. Yeah.
Dude, that music video cost millions.
Buku bucks. Adjusted for inflation now, it's still buku bucks.
But it was such a great video.
Yep.
And Janet Jackson looked pretty. Gladiator.
That year, I saw Gladiator, I think 3 times in the theater.
That was such an inspirational movie, man.
Yeah. And it was another thing that we weren't expecting in 2000, like an epic Roman Coliseum movie.
Or the fact that we would be interested in one.
Or the fact that we'd be interested in Russell Crowe.
True.
That was his big breakout movie, too.
Agreed.
20 years ago.
Oh, can we talk about that?
Boiler Room? This movie
I wanted to get into stock trading so bad.
Oh my god. It made stock trading exciting.
Like, I wanted to be such a hustler.
None of this was... Yeah. See, but like none of this was I don't think this is actually what actually... This is so dramatized.
It's dramatized.
Happens, yeah.
But I think but people do act that douchey in that world.
I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I actually got to witness some of this firsthand.
What? Really?
In the theater, and not in the theater, in the city when I was working in the city
Oh,
with certain
yeah.
people. So I don't imagine I don't imagine they had to stray far for source material for douchey stockbrokers.
Just talk to any New York City broker.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Anyway,
it's funny. The last couple, well, not the last. I think the last season of Dawson's Creek, Pacey became a stockbroker, and it was basically this movie for that whole season with his storyline.
Just reenacting it.
Reenacting it.
Hey,
Yeah.
that what money can do to people, and straight up.
Who forgot Mandy Moore was a singer?
I didn't.
I did.
She also was part of that group of Britney, Christina, her, Jessica Simpson,
yep.
And if you want to include her, you can Pink.
She
was more hip hop though.
Was she a natural blonde?
Who?
Mandy Moore. Because
No.
I'm so used to seeing her in This Is Us now.
No, she's not. Neither was Christina.
Yeah, you're right. It's funny seeing Mandy Moore now and her role in that show.
She's more pretty now to me.
I would agree. Moving on.
That's not 2000.
It was 2000.
And Final Destination.
And Final Destination was 2000.
Wow, we were lucky, man.
This is a good year to start on, man. Like there's a lot
we were lucky.
There's a lot of stuff that general pop culture had stolen from these movies, like the Crouching Tiger and Final Destination, for that matter.
Dude, we got to see these things firsthand.
Yep. Crouching Tiger 2 was also very revolutionary because that was another thing that it wasn't produced in the States, but it was a movie that kind of brought that type of wushu movie into the mainstream.
Zhang Ziyi became a star after that movie.
Yeah.
And I got a crush on her.
Chow Yun-fat too in that movie was as Li Mubai was a very
what's funny?
Was a great hero in that movie. Yeah.
I actually had a hard time getting into Crouching Tiger back in the day, not because it wasn't a great movie, but because Chow Yun-fat is not an actual martial artist.
No,
at all.
He's not that guy. Yeah.
And for me, it was too obvious.
He was an action, like a hardcore action kung fu.
Yeah, he was
not kung fu, but like a hardcore action film.
He was like a Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Of China, and or Hong Kong, depending on I think it's Hong Kong, but he was not a kung fu. Like you had all these great Chinese actors that could have done that film in terms of martial arts.
He pulled it off though, because I can't see anybody doing that.
I'll give him credit.
Yeah.
It bothered me.
I was a Michelle Yeoh guy too. I liked her in Super Cop. Super Cop is still one of my favorite. Is probably my favorite Jackie Chan movie. Which is
I forgot that she was there. I'm like, I was trying to remember. Like, wait, she's in that?
Yeah.
Wow. She's and this is not a stump. Like, this is not me like putting her down. She is like one of the best complimentary actors in Hollywood.
Yeah, I would agree.
She can work off any kind of character.
Mm-hmm.
Even
she was great in Crazy Rich Asians too.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. Like her as an authoritative mother figure, she played it amazing. But she also played a vulnerable, daughter figure too at the same time.
Mm-hmm. That ends that, and there's a little section in here that reminds us that Survivor also came out in 2000.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Anyway, that was a good trip down memory lane.
Was crazy, bro.
We stretched out this 16-minute video into about an hour and change of content.
Oh, did we really?
Yeah. I think we'll end it on that too. That was a good retrospect into and we'll probably do this again for future episodes.
We should go through them chronologically.
So we'll start with 2000, and then here's what we'll do. I think we'll start with 2000, end on 2010, and then we'll go back to the 90s.
Okay, cool.
That sounds.
I won't. If you do Ace, I won't get much of it though, because I was only 4.
That'll probably be for me, Ace and Jay. I'll believe you.
Yeah. I'll join you guys in the 90s because I was 5 is when I start really remembering stuff from TV.
Well, maybe we'll start with the 90s. Well, after the 2010s, we'll go into the 90s. Well, that was a great time warp into the year 2000. We'll probably do this again for future segments, and we're going to get to some Halloween stuff for the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you next time on the Hyper Nerds Revenge.